Oh, good evening, everyone. I'm Ruth Bachman, and I want to welcome you to the Rein and Sarcoma Fall Gathering. Tonight, we assemble virtually to celebrate the 20th year of our mission to increase awareness and increase survivors of sarcoma cancer, and to raise a glass, raise donations, and give cheers to 20 years. And speaking of raising a glass, this is mine. And it holds our signature drink for the evening, the Sarcoma Paloma, known in other circles as Prosecco Punch. We chose it not only for its exquisite taste, but because of its vivid color. And it reminds us of the beautiful sunflowers, like the ones here next to me. And the visual of the sunflower is so appropriate to our calling as well. You see, young sunflowers turn every day and follow the path of the sun as it crosses the sky in order to grow. And for 20 years, we at Rein and Sarcoma have turned to and followed the brightest lights of medicine in hopes that treatments and eventually a cure for sarcoma continue to grow. Tonight, we'll shine a bright light on both current efforts in place and those yet to come. And since we're meeting virtually this evening, I am literally asking those of you watching, be it alone or as part of one of our watch parties, to take a minute, grab your phone, and snap off a shot or shoot a video of you and your fellow revelers, perhaps ringing your bell or raising your glass or making a cheer, and then send us your creation. And who knows, if we pick your work of art to show in the program, you might just find that you have a little something else to cheer about. Joining us a little later will be sarcoma survivor Blake Hastings and his wife, Carrie. Blake and Carrie will provide their incredible insight as to why making early diagnosis available to everyone who battles sarcoma is our top priority. Why we're asking you to consider making a donation this evening in order to help us achieve that goal. Early diagnosis is crucial. Born in September of 1975, Karen Wyckoff was a young woman always on the go, including tennis and soccer and basketball, piano and violin, and Girl Scouts. She was the co-captain of her high school cross-country ski team, received the Gold Award in Girl Scouts, and was a National Merit semifinalist. The misdiagnosis of a biopsy in 1997 allowed the sarcoma cancer Karen had to spread, and her prognosis was bleak. But that didn't stop Karen. She didn't just continue to live life, but to live her life with more intention, zeal, and determination. In July of 2001, just 2 months before she died, at the age of 26, Karen Wyckoff conceived of and coordinated the first annual Rein and Sarcoma event, which attracted more than 250 friends and supporters, raising over $10,000 to support cancer research. Karen was always lighting fires within people to encourage them to change the world for the better. Like the sunflower, we continue to follow her lead and draw strength from the remarkable courage. It is because of Karen and so many others who share a similar story that we are here tonight. One of those remarkable stories belongs to Jan Maudlin, a sarcoma survivor who year after year inspires us by her relentless and tireless commitment to support the work of Rein and Sarcoma. It is my honor to welcome to the 20th Anniversary Gala, my friend, Jan Maudlin.
Thank you, Ruth. I am pleased to be welcoming all of you on behalf of the Sarcoma Scholars. It is amazing that we are recognizing 50 scholars that have gone through the program since its inception in 2009. How did my husband and I become involved with the Sarcoma Scholars? 19 years ago, I was diagnosed with a softball-sized myxoid liposarcoma in my right hip area. My husband and I had never even heard the word sarcoma, and no one that we knew had either. You couldn't go online to find out any information. You couldn't Google sarcomas. The only medical information that was available was medical jargon that we didn't understand. It was a lonely and frightening time without access to education. My sarcoma journey started when I fell down the stairs in January of 2001 when my knee gave way. I spent 5 months being misdiagnosed. I had been playing competitive tennis for 20 years, and so initially they treated me with physical therapy on my knee. After many months of therapy, I was then treated for bursitis. However, I continued to feel that something was wrong, and so I insisted on seeing a new doctor. I finally got the correct diagnosis from Dr. Cheng, who then removed the softball-sized soft tissue tumor that was wrapped around my major muscle, which also had to be removed. Would my life be different today had I been diagnosed correctly 5 months earlier? Would I be playing tennis with my granddaughter and not have to walk with a cane? We'll never know. Dr. Dusenberry was my compassionate radiation oncologist during my 36 radiation treatments. This was during the summer of 2001 when Karen died, and so I've also always felt a connection with Karen, the Wyckoffs, and Dr. Dusenberry. Rein and Sarcoma was just getting going. As my husband and I thought about what had happened to me and potentially others, an idea began to form on educating future physicians and healthcare professionals to recognize the symptoms of sarcoma. After the missteps that had happened to me, we wanted to do something and felt that this was the way that we could help to make this a reality. Our faith inspires our actions, and our actions was to fund a scholar program of people that would be working with Dr. Dusenberry and others. We feel it is critical, that education is critical in diagnosing this disease and improving the quality of care for future generations of sarcoma patients. Cheers now to the 5 new sarcoma scholars.
Hi everyone, my name is David Sapinski. I'm one of the Jan Modlin Scholars this year from the University of Minnesota. I've been given the tremendous task of thanking Jan. Although she is so deserving, it has been hard to summarize her great impact in just a few words. On behalf of all the Jan Modlin Scholars, past, present, and future, we thank her for her passion for students, the community, and education. This has been demonstrated in one way through the Medical Student Education Program and Jan Modlin Sarcoma Scholar Named Fund. As the 50th program participant, a true milestone, I am able to reflect on the impact it has had on previous scholars, the projects they have completed, and peer education that they have stimulated are the cornerstone of Jan's educational efforts. We are truly proud to be selected and involved in your mission. We believe your investment in us as scholars allows us to provide strong sarcoma leadership and to share the information that will bring benefits to patients for years to come. Jan Modlin, thank you. And here's cheers to 20 years.
Thank you, Jan. And congrats to all of our Modlin Sarcoma Scholars. From our first, Dr. Brad Stish, to David Supansky, our 50th Modlin Sarcoma Scholar. Thank you for shining your bright lights and for guiding us to a better future. Cheers to 20 years, and cheers to each of you. Well, there's no mistaking it. The nights are cooler, the days are shorter, and the leaves have proven themselves to be snowbirds, closing up their branches and heading south for the impending winter. And that can only mean one thing. It's Golden Gopher football season. And if you're like me, when you think of the efforts these young men make and the motivation they provide, all for the sake of the maroon and gold, one name leaps to mind: Casey O'Brien. I was in the TCF Stadium in October of 2019 for the Gopher-Rutgers game, and I saw Casey hold the ball. I cried along with Coach Fleck. It is safe to say that no one is better suited to speak about the trials and tribulations and the possibilities and the potential for sarcoma survivors than a 5-time survivor who through it all has maintained an unbelievably positive perspective. Casey provides the hope to others with sarcoma cancers. And now, at the age of 21, here to speak about his first 20 years and the next 20, please welcome Casey O'Brien.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Casey O'Brien, and I'm a 5-time osteosarcoma survivor. Today, I want to talk to you about my story, celebrate 20 years of Rein and Sarcoma and this amazing foundation, and also talk about the hopes that we have for osteosarcoma and for all sarcomas moving forward. In the fall of my freshman year of high school, I was playing freshman football, and when I would drop back to pass, I felt something wasn't right in my left knee. Kept on trying to play through it and went to different doctors, and no one could figure out what was wrong and why things weren't getting better. About 2 weeks before Christmas, and they found a tumor the size of a softball on the inside of my left knee. And I didn't even know what a tumor was or what it meant, but my first question was, when can I play football again? Fast forward, we go through 3 months of chemo. We go through an 8.5-hour knee surgery performed by Dr. Dennis Closey at Masonic Children's, who did an absolutely unbelievable job. And I finished with 6 more months of chemo to make sure that we took care of everything. Next thing we know, 6 months later, it comes back in my lungs for the first time. And it didn't come back in just one lung, it came back in both of my lungs. And so then again, we were faced with an uphill battle. But I knew that with the people around me and with the doctor that I had and Dr. Brenda Weigel, that I was going to get the best possible care that I could. And we looked around for second opinions, and everybody sent us right back to her. And they said, you're in the best hands you could be in, and she's going to take care of you. And that's what she did. Dr. Brenda Weigel has taken great care of me and has always had a plan. You know, I've gone through this 5 times now, and every time that we found something on a scan, she's never come in the room empty-handed and said, okay, like, we don't got anything for you. She's always had a list of 3 or 4 different options for me, and we can do this, that, we can combine this with that, and we can try this and that. And for that, I'm really, really thankful. And I'm thankful that we've moved along in the sarcoma world to have these options, because I know that 20 years ago, when this foundation was started, these options probably didn't exist. And I know that the money that we've been raising has moved these treatments forward. And for that, I'm very, very thankful. And now, where I'm at today, I'm coming up on my 6-month scans here in middle of October. So we're looking forward to getting some more good news and getting some clean scans. And I'm also excited to be playing football this fall. We play our first game of the year, first home game against Michigan on October 24th. So hopefully I'll be coming off of some great scan news and ready to go beat Michigan and bring the little brown jug home. So I want to thank you all for tuning in today and helping in any way that you can, whether that's financially or whether that's resource-wise or donating your time or donating effort. But every little bit counts, and we're moving forward. That's all I can tell you, is that we're moving forward, we're heading in the right direction, and we need all of you to take care of this thing. So thank you guys, and look forward to seeing you guys in person when we can.
Thank you, Casey, for sharing your time, talent, and story with us. You've been a great inspiration and a public face for sarcoma cancers. Best of luck this football season. We'll all be watching. Go Gophers. And thank you, Ruth, for being here tonight to MC our event, as well as share your journey and passion for Rein and Sarcoma with all our viewers. My name is Blake Hastings, and this is my wife, Carrie. I'm the president of Rein and Sarcoma, as well as a 3-year sarcoma survivor.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. Before we get into the reason we're here, I wanted to quickly remind you of our success last year. At last year's event, we raised over $160,000, which brought our total Rein and Sarcoma funding past the $2 million mark. And because of last year's success, the board of directors was confident to approve a 50% increase in sarcoma research funding at the U of M, allowing for 3 remarkable sarcoma research grants in January of 2020. There have been so many exciting advances in sarcoma research, and we hope to continue our support this year. But first, a little history from Blake and I as to why we feel so passionately about Rein and Sarcoma.
In March of 2017, I was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma and a bone in my foot. We had 3 boys and a 6-month-old baby girl at the time, and we were blindsided. To back up, I had pain in my foot off and on, but as most guys do, I pushed it off and continued on with life. About a week after our baby girl Molly was born, Carrie was tired of hearing me complain and just sent me to the doctor. Just as I expected, the doctor thought I had maybe been working out too hard or that I could have potentially have the beginnings of gout.
I had a really hard time believing that. Gout didn't correlate with Blake's age or lifestyle, but we moved forward. For another 6 months, Blake continued to complain and ice his foot. But it wasn't until he could no longer fit his foot into his snowboard boot or any of his structured shoes that I pushed the issue again. Thank goodness. I forced Blake back to the doctor, where another x-ray was taken on a Friday afternoon. Again, the doctor thought everything looked okay, but we wanted answers. So I scheduled an MRI for Blake the following Tuesday morning. And that's when we knew our situation was much bigger than gout.
Our lives changed that morning, forever. But we are standing here today, 3 years later, so grateful for an early diagnosis. The cancer had not spread to any other part of my body, and while we still endured 10 months of chemo, a partial foot amputation, things could have been much, much worse had we not been diagnosed when we were. And this is where our focus is this year, our 20th year. Earlier diagnosis for sarcoma cancers is crucial for successful outcomes. The treatments that have been developed can work if cancer is detected early, but that is seldom the case with sarcomas, as they're not detectable with blood work, and typically present themselves as a bump or bruise, if anything at all.
Funds raised tonight will be used to fund a research-backed software program that will put best practice alerts into an electronic system for our primary care physicians to better assess sarcomas. In a 3-month study, 73 physicians at 5 different health partner clinics interacted with these best practice alerts. They resulted in 17 MRIs being performed and 4 malignant diagnoses that may have gone undetected for months. And that was just in a 3-month study. This software provides our physicians with the confidence to look further and help save lives. We also want to help build on the research results from Dr. Chris Ann Schultz of Children's Hospitals and Clinics of Minnesota, which is using gene research analysis to allow for earlier detection and diagnosis, less radiation, and a faster understanding of whether or not these treatments are working for our kids.
We ask that you please send your donations in tonight to help us reach these goals, so that other sarcoma patients can receive the same early diagnosis that we were blessed with. In fact, I'm thrilled to share that we've already received some donations this evening. I've got to stand up for this because it kind of blew my mind. We have a $10,000 anonymous gift to get us started this evening.
Oh, thank you so much. Is there anyone else in our audience who wants to donate at this $10,000 level? Or what about $5,000? It would make a huge difference for the Rein and Sarcoma organization.
To get us started at the $5,000 level, we have Julie and Bryce from Plymouth, Minnesota, an anonymous donation from California. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Would you consider joining those great folks at a $5,000 level?
Oh, look, we also have some $2,500 donations that have come in. Pam and Mike from Wayzata, thank you. Maybe a gift of $2,500 works for you.
We have several donors to thank at the $1,000 giving level. John L. from Plymouth, David and Angela from Excelsior, Carol from Minneapolis, Chris, David, Chris and Hank, and finally John and Katie from Cohasset, Minnesota, with an amazing donation of $1,200. At our $500 giving level, we want to thank Kyle and Casey from Arizona, Courtney and Brett from Denver, Ken from Dallas, Rick from Shoreview, it's actually a mouthful now, Peggy from St. Paul, and from Minneapolis, Michelle, Lisa, Holly, Maureen, Becky, Joe, Jody. I can't keep up right now.
This is great, yeah.
Bill, Matt, and Kelly from Excelsior, and finally Angie all the way from Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Maybe you could also join at the $500 level or any level you feel comfortable. And we want to thank Christian and Sarah from Excelsior, Sonia and Harlan from Edina,
Nancy and from Wayzata. Yeah. We hope there's a giving level that feels right to you, because every gift, every donation helps us get one step closer to a new treatment or a new cure. We'll check back in with you in a little bit, but first, our next story.
Facing a diagnosis of sarcoma for anyone is hard. Facing it at 16 is hard to fathom. But for Miranda Mead, getting that diagnosis and getting through it, well, it took a community. One she didn't even know existed, but one she'll never forget.
Hi, my name is Miranda Mead, and I am from Plymouth, Minnesota. I am 4.5 years cancer-free. On December 1st, 2015, I was diagnosed with stage 4 Ewing sarcoma and given a 30% chance of survival. I went through 9.5 months of grueling chemotherapy at Children's Minneapolis, and I had 31 rounds of radiation at the Mayo Clinic. My tumor was in my sacrum and had also spread to my lungs. I am 100% certain, had I been diagnosed in under 7 months, it would not have spread, but it is what it is. When I was first diagnosed with cancer, I honestly felt so isolated and alone. I really didn't know any other 16-year-olds that had cancer, let alone any adults in my life. Partway through my treatment, my mom found out about Rein and sarcoma and called them at like 8 o'clock on a Thursday night, and she heard back from them in about half an hour. Suddenly, I had a community of support. I was able to connect with other sarcoma patients, and my mom had other cancer moms to talk to as well. This sense of community was something I really didn't know I needed, and I fell in love with Rein and sarcoma. I finally felt a sense of belonging in the Rein and sarcoma family. So many times during cancer treatment, I really had issues with my identity. Who was I? I was always being called a cancer patient and a cancer kid, so cancer started being my identity, and I hated it. I was more than my diagnosis. Rein and sarcoma has given me a platform to speak up for others who went through exactly what I went through. Currently, I am a junior at the University of St. Thomas studying business communications. Rein and sarcoma has given me an avenue to apply what I'm learning in the classroom in a real-world setting. Rein and sarcoma has provided me with endless love, support, and family. Rein and sarcoma has truly changed my life for the better. I don't know where I'd be without them today. So I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Rein and sarcoma, for helping me through my treatment and providing me with the love and support I needed even after my treatment ended. Because as we all learned after being diagnosed, cancer doesn't end after chemotherapy. I truly appreciate everything you guys have done for me, my family, and other sarcoma patients.
Wow, what a story. Thank you so much, Miranda. That is really an inspiration for all of us who are gathered here tonight and everybody who is gathered out there in the larger sarcoma community. Thank you. We do have 3 photos that have been sent in from watch parties, and so as you see yourself in those photos, know that very soon there will be a prize coming to your door because you were brave enough to take those photos and send them in. Okay. In January, sorry, I needed to be sure that the 3 photos had gone. In January of this year, the community of Rein and sarcoma funded 3 sarcoma research projects at the University of Minnesota, totaling $150,000, and that passed a major milestone. $2 million in sarcoma research funded through partnerships and work together dedicated to improve sarcoma patient outcomes in the Rochester Mayo Clinic, Children's Hospitals and Clinics Minnesota, and the University of Minnesota. We'd like to thank the Rein and Sarcoma Research Committee, and it's chaired by Dr. Larry Seymour. The research committee reviewed and approved requests for proposals from Mayo Clinic and Children's Minnesota just last week. We are thrilled to announce the following grants. The Mayo Clinic will receive $25,000 targeting the immune checkpoint B7H3 for the treatment of rhabdomyosarcoma. And Children's Hospital of Minnesota will receive $15,000 for the Dicer-1 related genitourinary sarcomas. We are excited to welcome these new research collaborations, build on our understanding of this disease, and continue to improve outcomes. Thank you to all 3 of these world-class organizations. And now I'd like to hand it back to Carrie and Blake to announce our Excellence in Education Award.
Thank you, Ruth. A long-standing Rein in Sarcoma tradition is the Excellence in Education Award. The Rein in Sarcoma Excellence in Education honor is awarded by the Red Flags Education Committee, a team of volunteers committed to advancing the educational mission of Rein in Sarcoma.
Previous recipients of this award include Dr. Katie Dusenberry, Dr. Randy Hurley, and Dr. Christian Ogilvie. And this year, the Red Flags Education Committee would like to recognize Dr. Scott Acuno of the Mayo Clinic. Dr. Acuno's passion around sarcoma education, excellence in patient care, and leadership with the Jan Modlin Sarcoma Scholars Program at the Rochester Mayo Clinic has touched the lives of medical students, physicians, and patients throughout Minnesota, the nation, and the globe. He is active on the Rein in Sarcoma Medical Advisory Board and a current Rein in Sarcoma board member.
We are proud and touched to present this award to Dr. Acuno, recognizing his longstanding support of our community and the mission of Rein in Sarcoma. He has built and strengthened and supported connections between sarcoma experts and sarcoma centers to provide the best in patient care. Congratulations and thank you, Dr. Acuno. I know I should call you Scott from now on. Back to you, Ruth.
I have had the privilege of being affiliated with Rein in Sarcoma for 17 years. I attended my first party in the park in July of 2003, 1 month after Dr. Dennis Closey completed my successful treatment, including the amputation of my dominant left hand. My daughter was getting married in August. She and I had gone to St. Paul to pick up her wedding dress and decided to stop by Como Park to see what this Rein in Sarcoma was all about. I also hoped that there would be a good chance that I would see Dr. Closey at the event. I believe that there is a special bond that is created between a sarcoma patient and his or her doctor. I still consider myself to be the honorary chair of the Dennis Closey Fan Club. My hope was rewarded. I saw Dennis, met his lovely wife, Mary, and their 3 children. Another reward that came from that first experience was the keen awareness that there was a community of people who not only knew about this thing that I had never heard of before my diagnosis, this thing called sarcoma. They cared about the people whose lives had been touched by it. I knew that it was a place where I could contribute my time, my resources, and my talents to make a difference. My volunteer roles in Rein in Sarcoma have mainly involved talking, maybe not a surprise. I have been given a platform for speaking to countless people about my experience and what it has taught me. Knowledge is power, and education has always been at the heart of this organization. Information and awareness foster early diagnosis, which, as we all know, is critical to positive outcomes. In my role as chair of the Community Impact Board of the Masonic Cancer Center, University of Minnesota, I have learned that the dollars raised and donated for research provide invaluable opportunities for dedicated, brilliant minds to make improvements in treatment and search for cures. Rein in Sarcoma has expanded the scope of that research to include the Mayo Clinic, Children's Hospitals and Clinics of Minnesota, and the University of Minnesota, collectively funding $2 million in sarcoma research as of this January. Working together enhances the probability that discoveries will be made that will make a difference for sarcoma patients in the future. As a sarcoma survivor, I have found a community of support that provides opportunities for laughter and tears, learning and sharing. Accurate diagnosis and proper treatment have given me 17 years of survivorship. I got to attend my daughter's wedding and have had the blessing of knowing my 4 grandchildren and having them know me. With your help, sarcoma will become a cancer people know and recognize. It will hopefully still be rare, but its dangerous symptoms will no longer go undetected. Rein in Sarcoma is making a difference. Imagine what the next 20 years will bring. Just imagine. And now, I'd like to welcome back Blake and Carrie Hastings to give us an update on the donations that have been pouring in since we last saw them. and to tell us all about some of the fabulous auction items that are still there for the bidding. Blake and Carrie.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And what a wonderful night we've had. Just since the last break, we've had an anonymous $20,000 donation received, bringing our total right now to $93,000. You guys, this is amazing. This is more than we could have possibly imagined.
Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
And just a reminder, if you haven't checked out the auction yet, it will close at 8:15 tonight, so make sure you donate. There are still a couple of great items out there. Also, if you want to donate directly from your smartphone, you can text KWRISF to 5665. We can't conclude our wonderful evening without thanking our sponsors. Tonight would not be nearly as successful without them. Oppidan, Great Clips, API, and Primex by Gresser. Thank you. Thank you, thank you for your continued support of Rein and Sarcoma and the mission.
So how can we possibly summarize all of the remarkable stories shared this evening? Stories of struggle, stories of acceptance, stories of courage, and stories of hope. And where do we go from here? What do we look for? What do we listen for? What inspires us to continue to pursue that which is so elusive and yet within our reach? How do we all summarize that? Perhaps with this: a bell, with a simple repetitive sound that is music to our ears. And here to put that sound into words that ring so true, please welcome Twin Cities recording artist and semifinalist on The Voice, Kat Perkins.
Ring them bells, let the people know you're out of this place. Ring them bells, then through the door, feel the sun on your face. For you're brave and you're strong, may your future be long. Ring them bells, back home you go, you're winning this race. Ring them bells, 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 let the joyous sound defeat the malaise. Gotta ring them bells with an iron hand ahead of better days. At your side we will stand, heart to heart, hand in hand. Together we'll weather any ups and downs. Come sing out this phrase. Ring them bells, ring them bells, ring them bells, ring them bells. It's been 20 years of laughter and tears, now we open another door. Moving straight ahead, never backing down, see what the future holds in store. Every step of the way, another hope, another day. We made it to 20, I can bet my money we can make 20 more. Ring them bells, oh ring them bells, ring them bells, ring them bells.
Oh my gosh. Kat Perkins, wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your gift, your voice with us this evening. Everyone, good evening. My name is Janelle Calhoun. I'm the Executive Director of Rein and Sarcoma. We wanted to personally thank all of you for joining us this evening. To our generous donors, our grant recipients, our brave, amazing storytellers, Miranda, Casey, Ruth, Blake, Carrie, all the families that are supporting all of us, we are forever grateful. We'd like to close out this time together this evening with one final toast, one final cheer, from our hearts to yours, with never-ending appreciation and unwavering hope. Cheers to 20 years, and here's to 20 more. More advancements, more survivors than we've ever seen before. Here's to research, here's to cures that the future holds in store. Raise a glass to 20 years, and here's to 20 more.
Good night. Thank
Good night,
you all.
everyone.
Good night.
night.
Thank you.